Erin, I am so happy to have you on the show. I know we have scheduled this lots and we have spoken many times, and I just know this episode is going to be so valuable for our listeners. So, for those listening who haven't met you, please tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I have been building, growing the upside since 2017. And in short, it's a global community full of people who are building businesses and lives that work on their terms.
Yeah. This is definitely why we are connected. All right. So now, of course, my always my favorite part of the episode is traveling all the way back in time to young you. What was that first job you ever did? The first money you ever made?
Well, funny enough, it was entrepreneurship. I had an art teaching business that I did inside my home, my parents' home. And we had this, in the basement, we had sort of this raw space that was like concrete floor, but it was like, it had electrical, it had lights, it wasn't scary or anything like that. And I cleaned it up. I set up a folding table of sorts and little chairs. And I'm an artist and I had a little art school. So kids, it was mostly like 5 and 6 year olds, and their parents would pay $25 a month, and they would come once a week, and we would do arts and crafts and projects. There was snack time, and I had like 5 kids, I think, at a time. And so if you think about it, I was 15 years old, and $125 a month in 90 something was a lot. And it was only one day a week of work. So that was definitely the first of many entrepreneurship journeys for me.
Wow, that is cool. That is definitely a unique story that I've never heard before. So that is very cool. So obviously it just was in your blood to be an entrepreneur. It feels like. I mean, it's just how your brain is wired.
It's not only how my brain is wired, it's generational. There's no one in my family lineage that was not in business. I mean, tracing back to as far as we can go, which is about 120 years, everybody was in business of some sort. So we don't have doctors and lawyers. Like, I don't have, like, everyone was in business. So I think it just was kind of in the blood, in the genetics, stamped out over time.
Yes, in the environment. I mean, if you're watching, your parents run businesses, all your relatives, then yeah, that's kind of how the way of the world. So I love that. I love that you took that initiative. You're still in school. You're like, yeah, I want to teach people how to do art. I'm thinking now, man, I wish that existed here. That would be so cool.
Meaning, like, you
I'd
could pay
love,
$25 and have like
yeah, or
your
even,
kids
like
entertained.
even today's money, but it sounds amazing. I'm like, yeah, my kids would sign up for that for sure.
Yeah, I had a
That's
lot of people. I
awesome.
was like, "Ooh, maybe I should have charged more." But at the time, I was 15 and thinking, "This is a lot of money," and it was just a win-win. It was great.
Yes. One day a week. Oh, love it. Uh, okay, what came after? You said that's the first in a string of entrepreneur
Oh
roles.
my God. I have so many odd jobs that I've done over the years. Everything from I worked in a science lab, I worked at a jewelry store during holiday season, I waited tables in college. I was terrible at it. I did a lot of internships to try to figure out what I wanted to do and checked a lot of things off the list that I did not want to do. I even worked for a political photographer in Washington, D.C during my college years, which was very, very exciting. I had so many odd jobs, I wouldn't even know where to start to list them all.
Wow, that diverse experience, I'm sure, has set you up today to be like, yeah, I can handle anything. So tell me about like a hard time, a memory of all of this young experience. You're so young. The world is, you haven't figured it out yet.
I still haven't figured it out yet. I
Okay,
still
that
haven't
is
figured it out.
true.
I
Thanks for calling me out on
remember,
that one.
I mean, it depends how young you want to go. I mean, I literally have dozens of job experiences, little ones, big ones. There was one summer I was working at a resort. My best friend from high school and I decided we were going to work together, and we both applied and we got hired. And it was a type of resort where you, like, the staff lived on campus. And I think I was 18 at the time. I was like a mini consultant in a way. Like, in my head, all I could see was how it could be better, and like all the problems and how they treated people. And that was a lot for my 18-year-old brain to handle. But I think entrepreneurship and business was just so in my blood, and something I was so passionate about from a very, very, very young age, that all I could do was analyze their business and almost obsessively what they were doing wrong and what they could be doing better. But guess what? They did not want to know this information. They were not asking me. They did not care. They were like, you are just here to work here. And that was a big lesson in understanding that not everyone wants to hear feedback. Not everyone wants to be your client. Not everybody is receptive to hearing your opinion or your feedback, because I really didn't enjoy that experience. And I think that was why. It was just seeing the mess and not being able to fix it. And it set the tone for how I behaved and how I interacted in any future employment situations. Stay in your
Yeah.
box. Stay in your box.
Oh, yes. Oh, and I can honestly relate to that. I was also just thinking of the process, like how can this be streamlined? How can this be made to go faster? It doesn't have to take so long. All of the things. That's my thing. I actually wrote about it yesterday in a journal. We are doing some journal prompting, and I was like, can we just make it smoother and easier?
Oh my
So
God, Candace,
I totally relate to that.
I graduated college in 2001, which was a terrible year to graduate college. It was a horrible hiring year. I wasn't, I gave up looking for a career. I was like, I just need a job at this point. And I ended up as someone's assistant in the beauty industry, beauty and fashion. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I'm working in beauty and fashion in New York City. Yes, I'm getting somebody coffee and shining shoes, but at least it's a job. And again, like seeing how inefficient it was run and seeing how slow everything was, and how I was, and long story short, they went out of business. But the point was, I could not get over how inefficient this whole operation was, and the thinking was, and how fast I learned the job. And then I was like, okay, what's next? And they're like, oh no, you're an assistant for 2 years, then you move up to associate. Then I was like, oh yeah, this is not going to work for me. So after September 11th, the whole department got laid off. And then I was like, I'm going to take a step back. I need to reevaluate what I'm doing, because this is not what I thought it was going to be. And I said, where are all the smart people? Like, where are all the people who are, moving quickly, where you get a lot of authority and a lot of, you know, decision making at an early age? And I ended up networking my way into the venture capital and private equity space, which I then loved because it was super
Okay.
fast paced, a lot of smart people, a lot of figuring things out on your own. And that was smooth sailing from there.
That is very cool. So I want to ask a few questions there, because that whole world to me feels like it's underwater. So I can see it, but it's like blurry and it's a whole different world, right? And I'm sure many people listening to this own their own businesses and they're like, oh, okay. So tell us some, cool things about that industry that, us outsiders never get to understand.
I think being able to get your hands into multiple businesses all at once is super exciting. So when you're in private equity, you're not just working for one business. You are working for the portfolio. And that was thrilling. So constantly having my hands in 5, 6, 7 businesses all at once and being able to work with all of them and service all of them and troubleshoot for all of them was absolutely thrilling versus working at that beauty company, working for one brand, one company, one line, one thing all the time. I think that was just not fast enough for me. I think when you are in that portfolio space, it is so thrilling, so exciting. And by the way, like they come, they go, they fail, they grow, it's just moving so fast. And to me, that's the base. I mean, it's so basic to say that, but I think it's just not something people think about. Oh, you're working for a bunch of companies versus just one.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh gosh, I feel like that is so exciting. I feel like that is a missed opportunity in me. I'm like listening to you. I'm like, oh man, I would have loved that environment. It would have been so cool. Like just so fast, learning so many things. I'm sure you worked across so many industries, so many different CEOs, like all the things. Yeah, it just
It was
sounds so
very,
fascinating.
very, very cool. It was something that I genuinely just loved going to work every day, even if it was difficult. And most people are learning on the job. And also, this is why it's so hard for consultants and advisors to crack into that space. I mean, if I had a nickel for every time a consultant was like, hey, I have an idea, like private equity firms have all these portfolio companies and those portfolio companies need help. And wouldn't it be? I'm like, yes, but stop right there because they have people on their team. They're the consultants. The people who work for the private equity firm, they are the ones advising them. They are the ones with the operational expertise, the marketing expertise. Yes, sometimes they do bring on outside people for sure. But that's why it's so hard to crack into that space because they're the ones that have the knowledge.
Yes, that makes total sense to me. Yes, they own it, right? Like it's their investment; they want to build it. So yeah, that makes sense. Okay, well, thank you for that little glimmer behind the curtain into that weird world that for some reason is like just different to the world. So very cool. And how long did you work there?
Well, I had a few different roles, and really the if you want to get really nerdy, it was really the alternative investment space. So I was in private equity, real estate, private equity, funds of funds, different organizations, and they all fall under that alternatives umbrella. Which is again, now we're getting real nerdy about it, but it was
Go
about
for it.
7 years,
Okay,
and then
awesome.
another 7 on the consulting end.
Okay,
So I guess
wow,
15. I don't know,
that's
15 total.
wow, that is so cool. I'm sure. Oh, tell me more stories there. Like, what was the worst client you had? The worst interaction? What
Oh,
was
I have a
something
really
like a
bad story.
hard
Okay.
day?
Okay. So okay, you're talking New York City, 2002, 2003. I'm 24 years old. I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I'm just excited to have a job. I'm excited to crack into the space. The first job I had in the private equity venture capital space, it was not the most prestigious company. It was not run particularly well necessarily, but it was still fun because I got to get my hands dirty. Um, the One of my bosses, one of the owners, asked me to do some work for his brother who owned a business in New York. I was like, great, no problem. Like, whatever. I work for you. You want me to work with your brother? It's fine.
Yeah.
And his brother was such a piece of work. He was god awful, so entitled. I'm like, your brother's doing you a favor by having his employees help you out. Like, okay, like there's like a little grace here, a little bit of
Yeah.
like, thank you. I don't know, something. Anyway,
Mhm.
the guy was such a jerk. And this was, again, keep in mind, this was 2002, 2003. So
Yeah.
email and email etiquette and technology was very new at that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I accidentally replied all this guy was on. It was like, this guy's such a jerk. Like, what a piece of shit. And the boss walks into my office and just starts laughing. I was like, what? He's like, you replied all in that email. And my a-hole of a brother was on that email, and he's so mad. He's like, I personally think it's really funny. He's like,
Yeah.
because you're right, he is a jerk, but like, oh my God, you just replied all to, and I was, of course, mortified. And at the same time, now I can laugh because luckily
Yes.
I never did that again. Of course, we don't make those mistakes again.
Yeah.
And, you know, luckily the
Oh.
person was insignificant to my role, and my boss knew his brother was a jerk anyway. So
Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
so
I'm
many.
cringing. I want to go under the table. That
Oh,
is.
I was like, I had like my heart was beating out of my chest because I
Oh,
was thinking,
yeah.
that's it. Well, that's my last day at work, you know?
Yes. Yes.
And
I'm done.
he was like, yeah, my brother's a total jerk. He's like, I mean, he probably went home to his wife that night and like told this story and started laughing. Like, you know, you're not going to believe this. My employee emailed Bob and said, he was such a jerk.
Oh gosh. Well, at least you had this understanding boss, right? It's like, phew.
Well, I mean,
Uh,
he had a good sense of humor. I don't know if I would describe him as understanding. He had a great sense of humor. Let's just say.
okay. Well, yeah, that goes a long way, right?
Yeah.
That's something. Oh man, that is so embarrassing. All right. So all your time there, 15 years, what were some of the biggest lessons you learned in dealing with people and different businesses? And we'll get to what you do today, but obviously I know and I am already building the block, building the blocks up. So yeah, just what are some of the biggest things?
I think the biggest lessons I've taken away were from the worst bosses, to be honest. Um, uh, one boss I learned from, um, and again, some of these things just sound so basic now as I'm in my late 40s and like it seems so obvious, but they were at the time in my 20s and having no mentorship, by the way, not growing up with anyone teaching me about business, not growing up with understanding how it all works. I had to learn on the job. One boss taught me that, you never go to your boss, never go with a problem, always go with a solution, which sounds obvious. But at the time I thought, oh, your boss is there to give you solutions. Your
Mhm,
boss is there
mhm,
to answer your questions. And he gave very good advice, which is no, you should always at least try to go with a solution first and
mhm,
then see what your boss says about it. And that was really an important lesson. Another important lesson was yesterday's intern is tomorrow's CEO. So
mhm,
treating
mhm,
everybody below you um, as if they're your future CEO. Because the way I was treated in my first job was not that way. And I thought to myself,
mhm,
one day, not too long from now, like I'm going to own my own business and I'm going to have resources and connections. And you're going to need me for something. You're going to need to call me. And I'm not going to pick up the phone because you were so nasty and treated me so badly that
mhm.
I'm not going to
Oh,
do you any favors. That was that was another one.
yes.
I also learned about the importance of, I think, taking responsibility and owning up to mistakes. I think as we are growing up, perfectionism, you the default is, how do I cover up what just happened so that I don't look like the fall guy. I don't look like like I don't get fired. I don't get, and
Mhm,
ultimately I learned that it is so much better to say, hey, I made this mistake. This is on me. I'm sorry. I'm going to correct it and I'm going to learn from it. Because as a boss myself, I personally appreciate it so much more when someone says that to me versus just kind of glazing it over and like trying to, get around it. I'm like, just admit, just say like, I made a mistake because you did. And that's
mhm,
okay. I make
mhm.
mistakes too. But that type of communication and really owning up to the mistakes we make and moving on from it and learning from it, I think is something I didn't go into business understanding.
Yeah, that is so powerful. And I actually want to spend a little bit of time here because that is something I also learned very late. It was like you have to come be perfect straight away. And that's just not possible. You're brand new on the job, and it doesn't matter where you are, even if you're 20 years into your career and you change jobs, you're still brand new. There's still so much you're going to have to learn, so many relationships you're going to have to figure out. And I wonder that fear of admitting you're wrong, do you think it's environmental as well, like the two sides? So are there certain environments where it's easier to admit a mistake, and how do we create those environments more?
I mean, look, it certainly comes from leadership and the tone they set and the culture they set within the space. But I think no matter what type of leadership you have, to be able to say, I made a mistake and it won't happen again. And I've learned XYZ from that. And thank you for your grace in letting me learn. It doesn't matter if you're new or 20 years in. I've been running my business, I've been running the Upside since 2017, and I still make mistakes. It doesn't mean nobody knows what they're doing, Candace. I say this all the time. Nobody knows what they're doing. Everyone is still figuring it out. Even the experts that we all know and love, I can tell, I see the cracks in their businesses. I see the cracks in their books, and they are still making mistakes and figuring things out because there is no person who knows everything. And the person who does think they know everything is definitely the last person you should be learning from.
Oh, I love that. I love that. The person who thinks they know everything is the last person you should be learning from. So good. Okay.
No, I want to learn from people.
I feel like I need to make a poster of that.
Well, I want to learn from
fantastic.
people. I want to learn from people who are constantly curious.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm looking for, not the person who is, I know everything, or I did this thing for this one client 3 years ago, and now I'm going to repeat that with you, and it's going to work the exact same way. I see this all the time.
All
the time. And no,
social
I want to
media must
know.
get your backup
No,
with that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I want to learn from the person who's like, I can't get enough of this topic. I want to I'm so curious about it. I'm learning constantly about it. That's the person I want to work with.
Yes. Oh, I love it so much. All right, let's take all of this and lead to where you are today. So you started the Upside 2017. What got you there and what got you to that decision to start that business?
Oh my gosh. Well, do you want the long version or the short version?
Oh yeah, long version. Go for it.
Okay, there's a little bit of a laundry list in the long version. So there were a few things that were happening. It was 2016. There had been an election in the US. And based on that election, I personally felt that women in work were not going to be a priority for the new administration. And that's how I felt at that time. And at the time I had little kids, I was struggling balancing childcare and work and and I just felt like women, mothers were not supported in the workplace at all. Like there was just nothing for us in the US. Like it just was so scraps, basically. What emerged from that was a few things. There was this huge shift in multi-level marketing companies that were selling this dream to working moms of you can have it all. You can have your own business, work when, where, how you want, and still make money and have this thing that's yours. And I thought to myself, all these women have had careers or still have a career. They're obviously struggling to balance it all. And I felt these companies were very predatory, quite honestly, because they aren't owning a business. I'm like, why are you telling people they're owning a business? They are a commission-only salesperson. and there is no other definition of what they're doing. And you're telling them that they're owning their own business. You're not investing anything in them. They're investing everything with commission only pricing. And that just did not fly for me. I really was upset about that. At that time, I was already consulting. I had been consulting out of my own small business for 7 years, 6, 7 years at that point. I worked when, where, how I wanted. I made multiple six figures a year. I didn't think twice about it. It just didn't dawn on me that this was not easy for everyone to do. And I think because I'm so entrepreneurial and I had good relationships in my industry, and it just was very easy for me, quite honestly. Slowly, in my suburban town, people were dropping out of the workforce. They were like, this is too hard commuting back and forth to maintain a mid-management job. It doesn't make any sense. Like, what? It's not worth the money for all this struggle. And they said to me, you work when, where, how you want. How do you do it? How in the world do you do it? You're taking the 10 a.m. train in and the 3 p.m. train back. How do you do it? And after dozens of those conversations, I finally said, you know what? There's a business here. At the same time, my youngest was starting full day school. So I just felt this ease of like, okay, I don't have babies in the house anymore. They still need me, but at least I have like a block of time where no one needs me. And it just felt like the timing was right. But the first business was not a community. The first business I started was matching consultants with clients because I was very good at biz dev, at a lot of relationships. I was really good at drumming up business. I understood the business of the business very, very well. So I was like, okay, that's the part that people have a hard time with. So I'll do the hard part. And all they have to do is show up and do the awesome work that they do. Well, let me tell you something, Candace. It became a mess because a couple things happened. Number one, there wasn't this line out the door of clients wanting to work with expensive consultants. So I had to drum up demand, which again, I'm good at, but it was a challenge. The second piece was the consultants didn't know how to position themselves for a consulting job versus an employment job. And I just was naive because it came so naturally to me that I couldn't understand why their LinkedIn looked the way it did, why their bio sounded the way it did. I was like, this is a bio of someone trying to get a job in 2005. I was like, I need you to rewrite it as a business owner, as an expert. And they didn't know how to do it. So then I was rewriting their bios. I was advising them on how to position their LinkedIn. I was like, all of your positioning is off because you look like you're looking for a job, not a business owner. So after doing that for a couple of years, I finally said, this is not working. Something's not right. I need to consolidate all of this information under one umbrella, under one organization, and they need to know each other so they can help each other and so that they can share what's working, what's not working, share referrals. And so I paused the business for about 2 weeks, rewrote the business plan, and then January of 2019, it relaunched as the community that it is today.
Oh, okay. So that seems like the perfect storm, just everything coming together as it needed to. But I really want to dig into the struggle that a lot of people have, which is moving from that employee to the business owner. Have you seen some mindsets, some blockers? Because I'll share my story why I'm asking, and I don't want to put anything in your mind, but I was like, oh, do I go 100% into my consulting or do I keep looking for a job? So for almost a year, I had my foot in both. And only when I fully transitioned did things open up, did I actually start making money and getting clients and things like that. So I'm just wondering, do you see some mindsets that stop people, some blockers?
It's a lot like dating, isn't it? You're not going to meet your future spouse if you're still dating other people, or you're still
Mm,
keeping, the burners warm, the pans warm on the back burners. I remember people always saying, you've got to cut ties with all those people. If you want to really meet the person you want to meet, you need to like cut ties with all those
mm,
old people, back burner type people, and like be really serious about it and put all in. And I use a lot of dating analogies in the upside because I think there really are a lot, but just exactly what you're saying. Like, do I think you can be 1 foot in, 1 foot out? Yes, as long as you know what the end goal is. If you
mm,
want to get a full-time job and you need to consult on the side financially just as a means to an end, that's a different thing than I'm not sure which one I want to do. I also know people who sort of like rent to own. They consult to get full-time employment. So they are like, I'm going to consult. And if there's a client I really love or where I really think there's an opportunity, I will present them with the idea that I can be hired
mm.
full-time. I see that happen a lot as well. But
Okay.
ultimately, like anything, whether it's dating or business, being both feet in is always going to be the move that creates the most opportunity for you. It also goes with getting rid of clients that are not the right fit, either financially or otherwise. Again, like dating. It's like you're not going to meet the one if you're still holding on to the person. If you're still dating the person, you're not going to meet the one while you're still dating that
Mm,
person. And it's a lot like that with clients. When people are so scared to get rid of or not renew bad clients or clients that can't pay what they need to get paid, they're like, well, when I find a different client to replace this one, but the problem is the time you're spending on that client is time you could be going out getting the new client.
mm,
Um, a
mm,
lot of dating analogies. And the mindset shift is about the deliverable versus the to-dos. So I see a big shift where when people go into the consulting world, they talk a lot about here's what I can do. Here's what I do. Here's all
mm,
the things I do. Here's all the things I'm good at. Instead of here's the problem I'm solving, here's the solutions, here's the results that I get my clients.
mm,
And
mm,
that is a huge shift because employees don't really speak to results often. They speak to tasks and what I can do. Um, Consultants always want to be speaking towards results and the end
mm.
game, the transformation, as you will.
Yes, love that. So tell me, we can continue on this dating analogy
Mhm.
train. What are some of the red flags that you would tell your clients? Like, get out, leave the client, go look for something else. Are there specific red flags?
I've written so many Wednesday wisdoms on this. I mean, there are so many. The number one is not being paid on time. We
Yeah.
get a lot of questions around that. Well, what should I do? I gave them like a payment plan. I'm like, they are in the wrong. And by the way,
Mm,
someone's getting paid. Their landlord's getting paid. The electric company's getting paid. I bet their lawyers are getting paid. So you're just last on the list of those who are getting
mm,
paid. And
mhm.
to me, I don't care what the relationship is. Everything stops.
Yeah.
Everything is withheld. Nothing keeps moving. No relationships get brought to fruition. Nothing happens until I'm paid on time. If you have a deep relationship with someone, that's a different story where, I had clients that I'd worked with for 15 years. If that had happened, you know, of course I would have handled that differently, but most people don't have 15-year relationships with clients. So, yeah, not getting paid. Um, Scope creep is always a big one, but sometimes that's your
Mm,
fault. Not having the
mhm, mhm,
boundaries. So I always say that clients are like babies or puppies. If you've had a baby, and if you've had a puppy, that's why I use both because they need boundaries.
mhm,
At least if you parent the way I do. I guess there's some free parenting out there that people let their children do whatever they want. But I think children, babies puppies. They need boundaries to thrive. They need that. That's why there's a crib. That's why there's a crate for puppies, to crate train your puppies so that they know this is my space. I can't just go pee and poop all over the house, and I can't just sleep anywhere I want necessarily while I'm a puppy, because it's dangerous. I could get hurt. Someone could step on me, literally. Like, it's not safe. And I don't know about you, but I know you have an animal back there. I think it's a cat. Um,
No,
but like,
it's a
my
dog.
dog is so
Exactly.
happy, and she
Yeah.
has thrived with those boundaries. There's a fence in the yard for a reason. So she
Mm,
doesn't run away and then she can't find her way home. So
yeah.
clients are like this as well. Clients need structure and boundaries in order to thrive. And then for you to thrive, and for you as a relationship to thrive, you need those boundaries. It's really, really
Mm,
important.
yeah. Yeah. Those are good. Yes, I'm thinking there's so many analogies here that I need to print out, have on my wall somewhere, because that's really good. As a consultant, that definitely happens as the relationship goes on, right? You're like, okay, I can do this. This is fine. We can move this, shift that. But those boundaries up front is, yeah, so critical.
And they
I can
need
see
them
that.
in order to
Yeah.
thrive, in order to know how they need to move about the crate or the crib. They need to
Mhm.
know where the boundaries are. It's good for them as well. I mean, there's so
Mm.
many analogies. There's dating analogy. Another one is, I always say to people, well, don't ask them up to your apartment before you've taken them to dinner. So I see a lot of people go and they'll just go right for the transaction. They meet a
Yeah.
potential client, like someone at a conference, like, oh, I'd love to work for this company. I know I could help them so much. And then they just go right in for the, like, we should work together type thing. And I'm like,
Mm.
okay, you just asked someone up to your apartment without even taking them on a date yet. So
Yes.
um, don't do that. It's
No.
about building relationships. And a lot of
Yes.
in the consulting world, we're talking about long-term relationships and planting seeds. Yes, some do come to fruition very, very quickly when there's
Mhm.
the stars are perfectly aligned. There's an urgent need. You're the perfect person for that need.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen that often. Usually we're building relationships. Staying in touch with people, staying top of mind. We're posting consistent content and thought leadership to demonstrate our authority. We're going on podcasts. We're speaking on stages. Anything to build trust, demonstrate authority, and then you get the sale.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. I do say that. It's like going up to a stranger in a bar and asking them to marry you. It's not a good strategy.
Well,
So
that's a
yes.
less cheeky analogy, but yes, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe I should use that.
Uh, yes. Okay. So you mentioned it earlier, and I did make a note of it in my mind to come back to this, of the social media. And you've helped one client one time, they had great success, and now you're going to copy paste that for everyone else. We're seeing a lot of that out in the world. So, and I will be honest, I got caught up in that. I actually almost went to lawyers. It was a terrible thing, right? Because I was like, yes, I want this outcome and I'm willing to do the work, and I did the work, and but it wasn't. They were like, but you have to do exactly what we tell you to do. And what they were telling me to do is read real scripts, but that were lying. Like, I was like, I'm not going to lie. They were like, say you've helped 100 people. I'm like, but I haven't. So I can't say that. And it was terrible. So in your experience, what would you tell people getting caught up in this quick fix? Do these 3 things and you'll be a millionaire tomorrow. What would you tell those people? Like, what is the truth that we're not saying loud enough?
That entrepreneurship is not sexy.
Mm.
That is the truth. It is not sexy. It is not overnight success. There's no such thing as an overnight success. The people you think are overnight successes have been working towards this a long time, or it's a house of cards. And we've seen that over and over again as well. It's not all about vanity metrics and 30 under 30 lists and YPO and all this stuff. That's not entrepreneurship.
Mm.
Entrepreneurship it's slow, it's steady, it's nerdy, It's there's some hustle involved. There's no shortcut. It's a brisket, not a black and blue steak. It's low and slow. That's how you create a beautiful, successful, sustainable, and profitable business. Is it sexy? It's not. It's
Mm-mm.
not that part's not sexy, but it is true. And anyone who's made it to the end, to the other side, where they actually have a long-term, sustainable, successful, consistently profitable business will tell you it was unsexy.
Mhm. Best advice ever. And I can tell you, you do not know this about me, but brisket is my favorite meat of all time. So
Ooh, well, I will
now
send you
I'm
a
like,
recipe.
ooh.
It's not my recipe. It's my best friend Michal's recipe, and it is a banger. It's awesome.
Oh, please do. I'm obsessed. I went to Texas once and we had brisket. So my husband cooks it. He's from South Africa, so he does the best he can. So I would give him a good 8 out of 10 for sure. But Texas is like an 11 out of 10, right? And I was like obsessed. And my friends were like, what should we have for breakfast? Should we go to this pastry place? And I was like, I can have brisket for breakfast. Like, seriously, I could just eat it all the time. So I love that analogy. And now I'm going to think of my business as brisket because that is worth the wait and
It's
the
worth the
effort
wait.
and it is so worth the wait. So love it. All right. And yes, give me that recipe. I'll give it to my husband. All right. So now I lost track. You see, you say briskets, and then I'm like, I'm
Now
totally
you're
thrown.
hungry.
Yes. Okay. So, and now you told us the origin story of your business. Tell us, I mean, you've been now 9 years because you said 2017 is 2026. So you've been running this business for 9 years. Tell us some of the ups and downs, successes, any stories you want to share.
I mean, every day
It's
is an
been a
up and
roller
down.
coaster.
Yeah, every week is an up and down. Every year is an up and down. Like there's no consistent. Oh, I will say this: it's like just when you get comfortable, watch out because something will happen. Every time I'm like,
Mm,
oh, it's a well-oiled machine. I know something's about to change that is out of my control. Out of
okay.
my control, meaning geopolitical stuff, economic stuff, um, the markets, culture. Like something is shifting that's going to make me have to shift again and adjust again. So between COVID uh, and elections and declining economies and it has affected everything I do. I have to constantly shift and change and evolve. So for me, though, there's been a few specific moments that really shifted my mindset or shifted how I run my business. One of them is this concept of rejection, where I think all my life, I just, you work hard, you get the good grades. You get the good grades, you get into the good college. You get into the good college, you'll get a good job, and so forth and so forth. In other words, if you work hard, it will come. And that
Mm,
doesn't
mm,
necessarily ring true in entrepreneurship. It's
mm,
working smart, quick, adjusting, resilience, grit. That's the key to entrepreneurship. The key to making it big in investment banking, big consulting, in law. Yes, working hard. The straight A person does very well in that environment because as long as you work really, really hard and really, really long, you will rise. In entrepreneurship, it is not the same rules. And that was a really hard lesson for me. One of these like big moments for me was I was in a stage a few years ago where I was like, going to apply for some big name awards and some big name thing because I felt like I really earned it at that point. And all the applications asked for top line revenue. And it took me back a little bit because I was like, but that is not a measure of success.
yeah.
Top line revenue means nothing in my world. Maybe if you're
Mhm.
building a SaaS company where like you're going to get bought out by VCs, they're going to streamline your operations, make you profitable, but in everyone else's world, revenue means nothing because I could spend $5 million to make $2 million. Does that
Mhm.
make my business healthy? Is that a good business to run? No. I
Mhm.
think EBITDA is the way to measure business. But none of them were asking that question. I had a highly profitable business, beat every standard number as far as
Mhm.
profitability, but they weren't asking that question. They just wanted to know top line
Mhm.
revenue. And my top line revenue wasn't sexy enough for them.
Mhm. Mhm. Oh.
Profitability, I guess, was not sexy to them. They just want top line revenue. And that was a real slap in the face. I was like, so
Mhm.
I have been running a highly profitable business with a wonderful reputation, making huge
Mhm.
impact on so many people. And you're not asking me one question about any of that. You just want top line revenue. And I said, I'm out. I'm not playing
Mhm.
that game anymore. Like, I'm not applying for these things. I'm out. And I
Mhm.
finally just
Mhm.
said, I can't play the vanity metric game because I'm just going to lose every
Mhm.
single time.
Mhm.
And
Yes. And what are you really losing? Like, are you losing? That's what
well,
I'm thinking. Because
I,
I'm thinking, I mean, yeah, stick to your values.
it's not just values. It's like stick to like what I know is a rock solid business and a
Mhm.
lifestyle that
Mhm.
any CEO would envy. I mean, my lifestyle is amazing. And I make a CEO salary, making a huge positive impact on people. And
Mhm.
nobody wants to put that on an award. And I was like, okay, well, Forbes and Fortune and Inc. and all of you, like in Fast Company, like, fine. That's not how you want to measure success. That's fine,
Mhm.
but I'm out. I'm not playing this game anymore. Although, feel free to call me if you want to give me an award. But I'm not playing this game because I can't
Yes.
play with people who are focused just on top line revenue because that's not
Yeah.
what I've been focused on all these years. I've been focused on the bottom line, not the top line. I've been focused on how
Yeah.
many people can I impact in a positive way and
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
close an economic gap that has been, gaping for decades. And so that was a huge moment for me to say, I'm out. I'm not playing that
Mhm.
game. And I just put my blinders on and started focusing on what I knew was a wonderful business that grows sustainably, comfortably, makes an
Mhm.
impact on others, feels good to me, feels good to my team, feels good to
Yeah.
all the stakeholders, feels good to my family, by the way. And gives me a life that is fulfilling and worthwhile and full of purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that's really the dream. That's the place you're at. No award could fill. It's just so much more than those awards. So yeah, I admire you for that. What are you proud of yourself for? Oh.
I'm proud of overcoming a lot of personality obstacles because the more I got into this business, the more I was like, I really had no business starting this business. Like from like really learning how to deal with people and learning how to
Mhm.
navigate lots of people at one time. I was always working in small environments and I never had been in a situation where I had to navigate hundreds of people.
Mhm.
And that I am just really proud of myself for sticking with it and for not giving up and learning because now, 9 years, almost a decade later, I genuinely feel like I have overcome what truly was, I think, a personality deficit. And I've gotten past it. I feel so much more comfortable speaking in front of people. I feel comfortable being around other people. I feel comfortable navigating any comment that comes my way. It doesn't affect me anymore. And
Mhm.
that was a huge, huge barrier for me in my life, my whole life. And now I am just so much better off because of it.
Yeah, I can feel that peace. Okay, we always close with one final question is if you can go back to young you, doesn't matter when, maybe it's that 15-year-old in the basement or whatever age, what would you go back and thank yourself for doing then that really set you up for where you are now?
What would I thank my, sorry, say that
Your,
one. What would I thank
yes, what
myself?
would you thank your young self? And the reason I always ask this question is because we often give ourselves a hard time. We say, oh, if only I could go back and I should have, would have, could have. But we don't give ourselves the grace, the applause that we should have when we were young and hustling and all the good things that we actually did. So that's the question. What would you thank your young self for doing?
I think just being so ambitious, because it's what's gotten me everything I have today. I want something, I go after it. And I never let setbacks slow me down. I just kept going. And I could not have had the life I have now, the business I have now, if I gave up.
Awesome. All right, let's close off with who should contact you. How do you help people? Who we need to get in touch with you.
Well, everything that I would say to that answer is on our website, which is betheupside.com. Anyone who wants to learn more about our community, so independent consultants and business owners, coaches, executive coaches specifically, advisors, boutique agencies can come to one of our open houses, which we host 4 times a year. It's all on our website. You can download some of our free guides. If you're looking for my support, that's really the best way to do that. I've given away so much information either in our Wednesday Wisdoms or in our free guides like the pricing playbook. It is all available for you on the website. Just explore, poke around a little bit, and that is the best way to get what you need from the upside and from me.
I love it. Thank you so much. It's been phenomenal speaking with you, and now I even know you better, which is the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Candace. Thanks for inviting me on. This has been really fun.